Okay, so the last video I did talked about installing Windows 11 24H2 on older hardware that had TPM 1.2. And in that exercise, I used an EliteDesk 800G1 and also a HP 260G1 Mini. The difference being that the HP 260 actually had the license for Windows 11 Pro. So what I thought I would do is kind of a follow-up, because some viewers said, well, installing fresh, that's not really that big of a deal. It's when you're trying to upgrade. And I noticed that my G3, which is the computer I'm using to film this on, is saying because it's on 22H2 that it can no longer get updates and that I need to move to the next version of Windows 11 Pro. Normally, like on my G5, I would have been given the option, or it would have been basically delivered to me under Windows Updates, the new version. But that doesn't seem to be happening with this, and that most likely is in line with the fact that it has TPM 2.0 on my G3, but it is using a unsupported processor, an i5-7500T. So you'll notice here, so we've got our HP 260 G1 Mini, Windows 11 Pro 22H2. So I thought I would use this as the guinea pig to see how well it works before I try it on my own computer. It's got 8 gigs of memory, and it should be running, let's look here, pretty older processor. Well, actually, you can see it right here. It's an i3 4030U. So yeah, this is definitely not a supported one. It is a 64-bit processor. And if I go into device security and go to security processor, you'll see that it is running 1.2. So, as opposed to obviously 2.0. So what we're going to need to do is we need to download the ISO for Windows 11 24H2. And that will, we'll basically mount the ISO file, and we'll run the setup from there to tell it and have it go through, and it should do the update. And be curious to see what kind of workarounds we're going to have to do. Is this the time when we're going to end up with that watermark on the desktop? So we'll kind of see. So the first thing we want to do is get that ISO file. So I went in and I Googled Windows 11 ISO download. And you want to make sure, of course, that we're downloading from Microsoft. Just, cut down on any surprises there. So if we go into here, there's basically 3 ways that you can kind of do this whole installation. In our case, because we're doing the upgrade, my guess is that we'd probably want to do just the ISO, or as far as a method. So you notice up here it's 24H2, and come down, and what we want to do is download Windows 11 disk image ISO. So we select, we want to do the Windows 11 multi-edition ISO, click on download. This one's about 5 or 6 gig. So depending on, your internet connection, it could take some time. Okay, we want to pick our language. In my case, I'll do English, confirm, and it should be, oh, here we go, sorry. And then we click on the 64-bit download. And up here, we've got it's going to do it. Well, I guess it must be a slower night, because it's only going to take about 3 minutes. We'll pop back in when it's done. File has been downloaded, and went to my downloads folder, and I just turned on file extension, so we see that it is ISO disk image file. Now, as with everything, when you're going to do any sort of major upgrade, back up whatever you don't want to lose. It's quite possible that you could run this and your hard drive is toast, your operating system is toast, you'll never be able to see your stuff again, it's all gone. So please back up what you can't afford to lose. So make sure that, and maybe even have double backups just in case. Okay, so here we are. What we want to do is we want to right click on it and we want to do mount. And that's essentially going to turn this into a drive. Well, maybe because of the slower machine, but usually those mounts are pretty quick. This one felt like it took a good 4 or 5 minutes before it came up. So, you know, just in case you try it and it does seem slow, just be patient and it will mount. So what we want to do at this point, we're going to run the setup exe. And we'll see how fast this goes or how slow it goes. Okay, it's coming up. Okay, we'll go, okay, that's good. Check for updates. I've seen some instructions that tell you to not be connected to the network. I don't know. I've always done all my installs by being connected. So, you know, we'll see how this goes. All right, looked like it downloaded and did some updates, and it looks like it's in the background. Okay, they're getting a few things ready. Okay, this is what I was pretty sure was going to happen. And I think what we're going to have to do is put in some registry hacks in order for the setup to run. And these are hacks, thankfully, that actually come from Microsoft. So let's bring up the browser. I'll show you where to go to get the information on that. Well, interesting. I looked at one of my older videos that talked about Windows 11 on older hardware, and it included a link to a Microsoft site that had information on the registry hack. But if you go there now, it says, oh yeah, you know, we used to do this for you, but we're not going to give that to you. You know, it's not going to be here anymore. Especially if you go here and says installing Windows 11 on devices that don't meet minimum system requirements. You come here and it says, oh yeah, we originally put out this support article, blah, 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 but things, you know, have changed. What you really should do is go back to Windows 10. Well, I did a little bit of looking around, and of course you can also look at the video that I did back when. I did find a little article here that talks about the particular, you know, it's just one setting here that we have to do. So we'll just go ahead and make the change right now. So we do run regedit, and we want to go to HKey local machine, system, setup, and then MoSetup. And we want to add a new 32-bit DWORD value and set it to a 1. So we'll just copy this guy, go in here, say new DWORD, name it, double click, put in a 1, say OK, and then we'll exit out of regedit, close down Edge or whatever browser you might be in. Let's see if we have better luck this time. Okay, it already did the thing where it sort of restarted the setup. Checking the PC. Ah, we got past the part that complained about the CPU and TPM 1.2. So we'll accept, and we'll see what comes from here. Now it should get to a part where it's going to ask us, hey, do we want to keep all our files or overwrite everything? So in our case, we want to keep them. And that way, you know, of course, we can make sure that it actually works. I mean, we should still have our download file, should still see everything as far as any apps that were installed, etc. So it got past the part about the checking for updates. That took probably about 10 to 15 minutes maybe. And now it's making sure you're ready to install. Maybe this right after this we'll be able to pick our what we want it to do as far as override or save. Okay, this is what we're hoping. It's going to install Windows 11 Pro. It already knew that because that's what we're coming from. And we want to keep our personal files and apps. And okay, let's go for it. See what happens. All right. Installing Windows 11. We'll see how this goes. Well, it looks like it's gotten through the first round. I did have a little bit of a problem where when it was booting, suddenly it couldn't see the boot device. And I had to, hold down the escape key, go into F9, and I had to pick the Windows Boot Manager a couple times, at least twice, and then suddenly it could see it and then started booting. So I don't know if it could be this unit. I haven't used this unit that much. There could be some issues with the SATA controller, but we'll see. It's going through now. Maybe we'll be okay. I guess I should also note that I did have some issues even installing the 22H2. Usually, go through a certain, because I was installing using Ventoy, and normally it will bypass Ventoy and go right to the disk, but it was going back into Ventoy probably because it couldn't see the disk. So I don't know if I've got a funky SSD. I don't think so because I don't know. We'll see what happens when we finally get through this. Now it's at that thing where it has the little, hey, we're getting ready, a couple minutes, that kind of thing. But at least it booted into Windows 11. We'll see what happens when this part is finished. Well, it was a success. We have 24H2, and I don't see any sort of watermark on the desktop. And I think the anything with the booting, I wouldn't blame it on Windows. I think it's maybe I've got a flaky SSD or possibly flakiness with the unit or SATA. I would probably chalk it up more to the actual SSD drive. But either way, we're on 24H2. I'm going to see if it will allow me to look for additional updates now. All right, I'm checking for updates. See if we have any more. I would think there probably wouldn't be any new ones since everything else, but oh well, I was wrong. I guess there's already cumulative updates, but that is kind of good because that means not only was I able to upgrade to the 24H2, but it still is, even though I'm on older hardware, etc., it still will give me the security updates on top of that. So I might just go ahead on my G3 and give it a whirl and see how that goes. But again, so this just kind of shows that, Microsoft's going to give all of the warnings, but if you're willing to pull down the ISO on your own and go through the steps, you can, keep getting updates to Windows 11, even after the whole Windows 10 goes away, or support for it, and you're on old CPU and TPM 1.2. So okay, well, let me know in the comments if you've had good luck with it yourself.